Hey guys, welcome back to Rossoneri TV. I'm Gio and I'm here for another AC Milan news live stream where I'll be speaking about the latest news and rumors currently going on at the club. As you could tell by the title, Niang has finally joined Watford, and I'll be giving you guys all the details concerning the deal in just a few moments. But I would like to take some time to speak about the channel and specifically videos on a Thursday. Now, as you may note, this is usually later than I post the videos at. It's later in the night wherever you guys are living, but it's later than I usually post, and that's because I do have classes which I have to attend on Thursdays. Therefore, I cannot make it at the usual time that we always tend to have these live streams. So bear with me, but for the next weeks, the Thursday videos will be later on in the day like we are doing specifically today. Now, speaking about Mbaye Niang, guys, yes, finally joined Watford, and I did say that I was going to mention my thoughts on the whole situation tonight. But let's get to the details of this deal and really what happened in terms of money going where and what option really does Watford have on Mbaye Niang. Well, initially, I think it's important to state that Milan has given Mbaye Niang to Watford on a loan deal which was worth 750,000 euros, money that was paid to Milan. And it is a loan plus option to buy, meaning that at the end of the season, Watford have the possibility of buying Mbaye Niang outright for 18 million euros. Now, this option could actually become obligatory for Watford if Mbaye Niang scores 8 goals for them this season. And I think this is something that many people have to look at, specifically in the second half of the season, and to see whether Mbaye Niang will actually be getting playing time at Watford. I have no real issue with that, and I think he will be getting a lot of playing time. But the real question is, will he be able to score 8 goals to activate that obligation to buy for Watford? Nonetheless, I think this was a move that had to happen for Mbaye Niang and for Milan. A lot of people were expressing their disapproval of Niang, and rightfully so. He was given many chances at Milan, specifically this season, and he didn't take his chances. Many times, he was just lazy, he wasn't running, he was walking around the pitch. And when you're doing all of those things in a club like Milan, well, you're just asking for it, in my opinion. And I think Milan did the right thing to, loan him out at least until the end of the season, and make Watford decide what they want to do with him. Will they want to buy him at the end of the season, or send him back to Milan? So we'll see exactly what happens with that. In my opinion, 18 million euros, if we could get 18 million euros from Niang, that's definitely positive. It is a lot of money, which I don't know if Watford have in terms of ability to purchase the player, because it is a lot of money. But at the same time, if they don't want to buy him, he will be returning to Milan, and Montella will be giving him another shot next season. That all depends, of course, like I said, how he performs in the second half of the season. Because if he does score 8 goals, he will be an obligatory purchase for Watford. But other than that, like I said before, I think Niang needs to breathe some fresh air. I think he needed this change of club to get some things sorted out. And, I think a move to the Premier League is definitely a good option for him. I'm not sure how he's going to cope in there, because let's be honest, it is sometimes a more physical league. You need to be stronger, and I don't know if Niang is going to have that strength to do well. But we'll see exactly what he's made up of when he joins Watford and when he starts playing for them. So I'm very curious to see what he could do outside of Milan. Will he have the same impact as to when he was playing on loan at Genoa and then came back to Milan? We'll see if that's the same case for him, but he definitely has a point to prove, not only to himself, not only to Watford, but also to Milan, because I believe that, unfortunately, he had a good start to the season, But after that, he completely destroyed all his chances of getting a permanent spot in the starting 11 for Montella. He had many chances to keep it going. Unfortunately for him, Montella had enough, the fans had enough. He wasn't doing any good to the team. So there really was no option of loaning him out and at least getting rid of him for the second half of the season. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll get to them in just a few moments. But speaking about the possible players that could replace Niang, because of course Milan will be looking at someone to replace Niang now that he's gone. The main name is, of course, Lucas Ocampos, a name that I've been mentioning for the past few days. We already did speak a little about him on previous live streams, but a lot of people are, I say they're either on one side of the coin or on the other. I couldn't really find a good group of people that are saying this guy is definitely a better replacement than Niang. It's always been mixed opinions regarding this player, Lucas Ocampos. Some people want to see him, some people don't. I think it's going to be like that with any player that comes in mostly. But speaking about Ocampos, from what I saw from him, I think he's an improvement over Niang. Let's keep in mind that he probably won't be starting games. He's a left winger, so now you got guys like Bonaventura and Deulofeu playing on that wing anyways. So Ocampos will not be one of the main options for Montella. If he does arrive, I'm expecting him to be a third option for that left wing. So I don't think it should do us any damage. And let's be honest, I think from what I saw, at least on the highlights, I think he has a better will than Niang. Maybe he's coming in with some better concentration. In terms of statistics, he has scored 3 goals in 14 Serie A appearances for Genoa. And really all that is missing at the moment is, according to some reports, Genoa are trying to get Palladino from Crotone. And once they do that, it should pretty much pave the way for Ocampos to join Milan. So it should be happening in the next few days, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after. We're still waiting for this move to happen. But I want to know all your thoughts considering Niang's move to Watford and the possibility of seeing Ocampos at Milan. Are you guys okay with all of this? Or are you thinking otherwise regarding which players should be coming in these last final days of the winter mercato? So getting into your comments, Abdul says, if Niang does well, he won't come back at Milan. He will most likely continue his career with Watford with the hope of moving to a bigger English team. Well, once again, Watford do have the option to buy him at the end of the season. It is set at 18 million euros. But once again, if he does score 8 goals, it will become an obligation to buy, meaning that Watford need to spend 18 million in order to purchase Mbaye Niang. But I don't know if a future for Mbaye Niang is really set for the Premier League. We'll see what he does, how he copes with the pressure in the Premier League in these 6 months. But personally, I don't think that his future is really set to be there. Abdul says, I think it is a mistake to sign a player such as Ocampos. I understand we need a new winger, but we are more desperate for a creative midfielder. The only issue is who, especially with zero budget. And that's exactly it. We are just a few days from the end of the winter transfer window, which, by the way, just as a reminder, it ends on January 31st. Who are we going to get as a creative midfielder, especially with no money? I think what Milan is doing is swapping position for position. What I mean by that is, look, Luis Adriano left. They signed Deulofeu. He's not necessarily a striker, but he could also play in that position. Same thing goes for Niang. They got rid of Niang. Most likely, Ocampos will come in to replace him in that position. But speaking about midfield, it's pretty much impossible that we will be signing, or at least getting one free from now on until the end of the winter transfer window. Arjun says, Gio, it's 4:30 in the morning. I was just waiting for your video. I said to myself that I will not sleep before watching your video because your videos are good. Please try to post your video a bit earlier. I'm from India. We usually do post them earlier. Like I said at the beginning of the live stream, unfortunately on Thursdays, I do have classes which last longer and take up a lot of time. So I only get home until later. So unfortunately, I cannot post them earlier on Thursdays. But please try to understand. Thank you just the same for staying up to watch the videos. I really appreciate that. Ix Mazin says Galliani mentioned signing a winger. We need a midfielder. Your thoughts, Gio? Just like I said before, we do need a midfielder. I've been saying it for many transfer windows. It won't happen this transfer window. I'm almost 95% sure. But we are definitely waiting for one in the summer. Definitely, it's a must that we finally sign a midfielder. We did sign midfielders in the past. We signed guys like Bertolacci, Jose Sosa, for example, last summer, Pasalic. And these guys are not bad, but they're also decent at most. They're not the quality midfielders that we need at Milan. And that is why I keep repeating it. We need quality midfielders. We need guys that will give you certainties, that will give you the results at Milan, and not just throw players out of nowhere and pretend that, okay, this guy will get the job done for us eventually. Let's continue risking with these players. I'm not going to bring up the case of spending 20 million for a guy like Bertolacci again, because everyone knows that's pretty much bad money management. But moving on, we need to make smarter purchases, because with 20-25 million, you can buy yourself a pretty good midfielder. Maybe not the best of qualities, but I would say better than Bertolacci. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's pretty much it. That's what my thoughts are. Silly Wonka says, Gio, don't you think Milan should sign another winger? Suso will need to be rested too. Montella clearly doesn't like Honda. Well, the thing about that is that Suso and Honda are both right wingers, and Ocampos, the player that Milan is more likely to sign in this January transfer window, plays on the left wing, and I pretty much doubt that he also plays on the right. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I know, he's exactly a left winger. He doesn't play as a right winger. Unfortunately, we are not looking at any right wingers at the moment. Initially, at the beginning of January, you guys could recall us being interested in Orsolini, but then everything pretty much went to shit with that after the Chinese said that they weren't interested in signing the player. So, we had the possibility of also signing a right winger this transfer window, but we didn't take that chance. Moving on, Abdul also says, Gio, how long do you think our run of bad form will continue? We're facing some beatable teams in the future, and this may give us an extra push. Well, I definitely agree with the fact that you're saying beatable teams, because honestly, on paper, teams like Udinese should be beatable. We did lose to them at the San Siro last time we played this season. But honestly, there should be no excuse whatsoever as to why we can't beat teams like Udinese, for example. Also, looking further down the schedule, I could see that we are playing Sampdoria at home, so that's another team that we should be beating. Bologna, that's the game that will be recuperated. Who else are we playing? Lazio is going to be a tough one. But besides that, there's a lot of pretty doable wins here. Games that we should be winning. In February, we still have some tough fixtures, such as the game against Lazio and Fiorentina. But these are exactly the type of teams that you need to beat in order to gain an advantage over them in that race for the Europa League. So hopefully, we can get it done against them. Moving on. Lagartos27 says Niang just needed more opportunities at Milan. He was just like Balotelli. He has the capacity, but he does not show it, and that's pretty much spot on, because that's exactly what Niang is. He's a player that he has the capacity, he has the capability of doing good things. Unfortunately, he doesn't put his brain to it. He doesn't apply himself. He decides to be a lazy player. You cannot come on for 10 minutes and run less than guys that have been running 80 minutes straight. That's completely unacceptable. Not even for a team like bottom of the table in the Serie A or Serie B. You cannot accept those types of players. And you're doing that with Milan, you're just asking for trouble if you're doing things like that. Liban Yusuf, he's happy. He says, thank God Niang has left Milan. Jeffrey says, does this mean that Delufeu is a starting left winger? I still wouldn't say that he's a starting left winger because Bonaventura has been playing in that position all season round. He's done great things. It all depends on what Montella wants to do with him. You know, you could play him as a left winger, or you know, he's just gonna substitute him for Bonaventura when he's tired. But we'll see what Montella thinks because Bonaventura could shift back into that midfield and Delufeu could be the starting winger. Sure, that's definitely a possibility. Arjun says, I saw on Watford's page that their fans were very happy to sign Niang. I hope Niang doesn't let them down. Well, they probably saw him on FIFA and they were thinking, you know, this guy's a speedy player, but they haven't seen much of his time at Milan, especially this season. But no, to be honest with you, I definitely hope that he has a good time at Watford. I hope that, you know, he finds his form once again because he did have a good form at the beginning of the season. What happened in the past 3 months, I cannot explain it myself. But I was expecting better from Niang. You know, this was supposed to be his breakout season, and once again, that didn't happen. So he's gonna spend some more time away from Milan. Hopefully, it will do him some good, and hopefully, he will get back to that good form that he was on before. Tahagata says Gio is 4-2-3-1 our best way of salvation. That is already a formation that many people have proposed, and they already asked about my thoughts on this formation yesterday for the last couple of days. You know, I think it's a pretty good formation if you ask me, considering the fact that we could play guys like Delufeu on the left, Bonaventura as a trequartista, Suso on the right, and Bacca or Lapadula up front. The defensive midfielders will probably be Locatelli and Bertolacci. I think they could do a pretty good job there. So it's definitely not a bad formation at all if you ask me. Personally, I would give it a shot. I would definitely give it a shot. I don't know if Montella is willing to change the formation, but if I was Montella, I would definitely try it for a game or two and see what kind of result you can get for it. Jeffrey Wittig says, what winger can we get this late in the window? Well, the only player that we're pretty much close to is Ocampos from Genoa at the moment. That's pretty much the only winger that we're more likely to get for the end of this transfer window. Hi Clement, hope everything's good with you. He says, Niang just couldn't learn from the stars he came to meet. His movement off the ball was bad, was only good at running. We need players with character and not talent. Well, besides the movement off the ball that was bad, and his running being good, sometimes he didn't even want to run. That's the thing. He was walking around the pitch. He has good assets. You know, he has assets where you could do good with off the ball movement. You can make good runs, but he chooses not to. And you know, lazy players like this, players with no character, to me, I just don't want them in the team. And that's pretty much it. Abdul says, Gio, how would you rate the Milan fans at the San Siro? I always hate how away teams are as loud as us. Yeah, to be honest, definitely the attendance has been going down for a long time. I think recently it has been increasing again, but I don't think it's a main problem. I think, you know, the thing that the club is not doing as well as they were before pretty much demoralized a lot of fans, and for them to come back to the stadium, they're gonna have to really get some good results going off for them, and by that I mean going back to Europe, to European competitions such as the Europa League or the Champions League, because once Milan reaches those stages, that's when you're gonna see more fans at the San Siro. Fuller Corrine says Simeone is who we should get, not Ocampos. Simeone is not a player that we could get in this transfer window, of course. But I think that Milan is currently targeting him for the summer transfer window. And personally, I don't think that they will let him go, considering the fact that he just came in this past summer, and he has been scoring lots of goals for them. So I don't think it will be wise for Genoa to let go of their best player. Abdul says exactly that. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Lagarto27 says, if Lord Niang does score 8 goals in the Premier League, I will be surprised for the rest of my life. Just imagine, it will be the biggest jaw-dropping thing for the Milan fans. I completely agree. Personally, I don't think he's going to get anywhere near 8 goals. Initially, the target for the obligation to buy was actually set at 10 goals. But there were some minor adjustments today, and that moved down to 8 goals instead. So even though it's 8 goals, I personally don't think that he's gonna go anywhere near that. Arjun says, Gio, your hairstyle is like David Beckham. Nice, thank you for that. Olufemi says, I don't believe we need a winger. We've got Bonaventura, Suso, and now Delufeo. What we need is a commanding presence in the midfield, as we know that Luca Daly still shows his inexperience. I completely agree with you, Olufemi. The only real problem at the moment is that we don't have the funds. We don't have the funds to buy a midfielder. Who's going to come in these remaining days of the transfer window to replace or be a good backup to Locatelli? Simply, there's just no option at the moment. But I definitely hope that Milan considers someone for the summer transfer window. Because if we make the same mistake over and over again of not signing a quality midfielder, then we could just dream about winning anything in any championship. Carlos says, do you think that it's still possible for us to reach the Champions League or the Europa League? I think it's still possible for us to reach the Europa League. Shouldn't be a problem, given the fact that we're still pretty close with a lot of teams. Even the Champions League, I mean, it's not completely out of reach if you consider that we still have a game in hand that could put us momentarily 4 points behind Napoli. It's not that bad. Thing is, moving onwards towards the end of the season, if you take a look at teams like Napoli and Roma, they're the most likely teams that will continue on their good form. And teams like Milan, Lazio, Fiorentina, Inter, these are the teams that are more likely to drop points against stupid teams all the time. And at the end of the day, that's pretty much what separates teams from making it to the Champions League or the Europa League. Maybe a few more questions before I sign off. I know a lot of you guys, it's like 5 in the morning there, and I can't believe you're even watching. But thank you guys so much for all the support. That is why I do all of this. There's amazing fans like you guys that come out on every video and support the channel. So thank you guys for that. Isaac says, we are all hating on Niang. He played better without Milan, if you recall his loan spell at Genoa. And yes, he did have a very good loan spell at Genoa. And that is why we even, considered to bring him back in. He did very good things, and he also had a very good start to the season. Where did his confidence go after that? I simply don't know. Isaac says, realistically, I don't think Milan can make the Champions League. Nasser says, Milan need only to play fast. Well, the thing about playing fast is that if you don't have good players with good quality, you're going to be playing fast, but you cannot keep possession, and you cannot, if you don't keep the ball, you're going to just invite pressure from the opposition, and that's exactly what we don't want. I'm definitely for the idea of playing fast, but if you don't have the right players, then we can just dream about it. Fuller Corrine says, Gio, I'm the biggest Milan fan in Jamaica. Abdul says, all the top 3 are still playing in all competitions, and this could be an advantage for us, but we need consistency. And I actually did mention that yesterday on the live stream with Pasquale. I told him that, if you guys recall, if you guys were watching yesterday, I said that given the fact that Juventus, Roma, and Napoli are still all in competitions such as the Coppa Italia or the Champions League, for example, this could add to their fatigue levels, and there's going to be lots of weeks where they're going to have 2 or 3 games in a specific week, and this could build up their fatigue. At the same time, though, if you guys take a look at their bench, they have good depth to replace certain players at certain times when they're tired, and that's exactly what I mean with teams that have a difference besides Milan. They have players in depth that could come in from the bench at any time and play and give the results to their teams. Milan simply don't have that, and that is why they cannot play in more than one competition. But at the same time, like I said yesterday, you have to take a look at the positives that Milan is not in the Coppa Italia anymore, for example, because now they will solely focus on the Serie A. They're capable of just playing in the Serie A, and instead of thinking about 2 or 3 matches a week, sometimes they only have one match to think about, and they could, use all their focus on that specific match. So it might definitely be a good advantage for us that the other teams have more games to play and we don't. But at the same time, moving forward, if you consider next season or the following seasons when we have to play Europe, where we will have 2 or 3 games per week, that is exactly where we need players to increase our depth levels. Tajata says, Gio, my final thought of today, how about Simpson of Leicester City or Fernandinho next season on a free transfer? From what I know, Milan is currently not interested on those players. Fernandinho will be a good option, but I think Milan has other ideas, and specifically coming from the Serie A, guys like Keita Balde, Bernardeschi, even Milan Bade, for example. These are the players that Milan will be considering. There's also some interest from Germany and other countries. But in my opinion, I think Milan will definitely go for talents already established in the Serie A. Speaking about Pasquale, he just wrote to me. He says, hopefully the Premier League will improve Niang's work ethic. If we sign Ocampos, Bonaventura can drop into the midfield, and there's our quality, at least for the moment. Are you suggesting that Ocampos should be getting the start, or would you still want to see Deulofeu getting the start on that left wing, with Bonaventura shifting back into that midfield? Will there be a video tomorrow, says Arjun? Definitely. Every day there's a video on Rossoneri TV. There might be just one day or two that there won't be a video per week, but usually we post every day, specifically now that the transfer window is currently going on. But yes, there will be definitely a video tomorrow. Saturday there will be the match preview for the Udinese game. And on Sunday, there will be the live stream watch along and the match review followed by that. One more question or comment. Marv Diaz says we need to stop buying potential great players and get players that have been at the league for 2 years and have proven themselves and get results like Benassia, a defender that dominated 2 years ago. That's exactly what I'm trying to say when I said Milan are targeting players from our own league. And I think that is the best way to go because, they're already established in the Serie A. They know how the league works. So guys like Keita Balde or Bernardeschi would be perfect adjustments to have in our team. Perfect additions. So hopefully we'll be getting 1 or 2 this summer. But I'm very excited to see what is going to happen in the summer. Of course, we're still waiting for the Chinese takeover in March. And definitely hope that happens. But I'm more than confident that this time is the right time. Asa Chen says, finally back. I missed the live streams. Well, we're back. We're here every day, so whenever you want to watch, you can definitely tune in. Pasquale says, it's possible that Ocampos will provide depth for Deulofeu, or mid-game after a sub, Bona can drop back instead. Definitely agree with that. I think that Montella will have the choice, of either playing Deulofeu and Ocampos in that left winger if he chooses to put Bonaventura back in the midfield, but definitely with that. What's happening with Orsolini? Please answer. Orsolini is a name that is far gone, my friend. He was someone that we were interested in at the beginning of January, even at the end of December. But the Chinese, like I mentioned before, were not interested in the player, and it seems like he will be joining Juventus. If not, he already joined, but he's supposed to only come to Juventus next season. So he's pretty much joined Juve, but he will only become an official player for them next season. That is pretty much it, guys. Thank you all for joining me on this live stream as usual. Don't forget to subscribe to Rossoneri TV to stay updated with everything going on at AC Milan on a daily basis. We post daily videos with news live streams, recaps considering the news and rumors, match previews, reviews, live stream watch-alongs, and everything you need to stay updated at AC Milan. We got it right here on Rossoneri TV. So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to leave a like on the video. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another one. This has been Gio signing off. And as always, Forza Milan.